Greetings, everyone. This is Bakar Korbi from TFT Perspective, and I'm going to throw some light on recent enhancement in the tenure period of services chief in Pakistan. Now, this was a laudable decision by the parliament, and good thing is that Pakistan parliament now started exerting because parliaments are supposed to amend laws and make them more relevant with the current time or the environment. So I think there was definitely need. We have seen how in the past the 3 year tenure of services chief was at time exploited by the politicians or vice versa, and it created a sense of instability, and also I would say it affected the morale of the military. Good thing is that Parliament has, by and large, agreed less some of the let's say opposition that this is going to bring more stability within the armed forces and also in civil military relations. Because in Pakistan, like others, like even in US, we look at civil military relations are very much part of let's say the management system or the executive, because a lot of Americans troops and commands, they operate outside and they have to interact with the civilians. They do have some political role also, but in case of Pakistan, it's because of peculiar security environment. We are facing threat of terrorism for last 2 decades now, and within that there is a need for continuation of policies. There was also a consensus that 3 year tenure was too less, and I'll just briefly go over that when a military commander of that level comes and assumes the assignment, how difficult it is to, let's say, carry out any long term policy or strategy. For instance, when he comes initially, 6 months to 1 year is actually taken in briefings, whether it's and understanding the or overseeing the system from that height or that chair. And by the time he starts implementing next year, there starts of farewells taking place in the third year, and then they are looking at the next chief. So I think this was one reason. There's also, I think, shortcomings observed in the past. The involvement of, let's say, the political side of executive in at times incentivizing or using it as a card to select their people of their own choice. But of course, there is a system that they are supposed to select it out of, let's say, the top five. But if they are given, I think, stability in their tenures, it is definitely much better. Now, there's also need to, let's say, compare Pakistan military, and I'm looking at all the services and the chairman, Pakistan Army, Pakistan Air Force, Pakistan Navy, and the chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, that how does it compare with rest of the world? Uh, and before that, I'll also mention that in the past, there were our last three cases, two of the army chiefs were given extensions, and then it again, I think, became a bone of contention, a political matter, and mudslinging. Now, if you look at the tenures, in US it is 4 years, in UK it is 3 to 4 years, and also depends on whether you are the chief of army, the chief of general staff, or let's say chief of defense staff, because at places you have joint staff headquarters. Like in case of US, it is chairman joint chiefs of staff, and in case of UK, it will be chief of defense staff. In India, it is chief of defense staff, and then you have services chief. In China, it is 5 years. Germany, it is 3 to 5 years. France is 4 years, and Russia is very interesting example that apparently there is no tenure. And I'll discuss how General Valery Gerasimov is doing. He's doing a wonderful job, but why he's there for last couple of years, and why they have, I think, kept this tenure. One, it goes with the let's say uh, political leadership. In case there are elections and a new leadership comes, and in case it can coincide with the appointment of the chiefs, it allows them to have, I think, continuity of policy. So one is that. The other is, of course, we'll I think dissect it, that how it affects the doctrinal training, weapon induction, operational preparedness, and wartime readiness. Issues of the military. Now, in case of India, it's very interesting that for the post of chief of defense staff, they have now created this. This was created by, I think, Parliament and order by the Ministry of Defense, that they can appoint even a retired Lieutenant General as Chief of Defense. And they had reason for that. After the death of General Bipin Rawat, there was a need that they had to have more choice. So it's not only serving 4 stars, it means that Army Chief, the Naval Chief, and the Air Chief, or let's say the commanders who are Lieutenant Generals, but also they could pick up, let's say, Lieutenant Generals retired. Like in case of General Anil Chauhan, he was appointed on September 28th, 2022, and basically he was appointed as the Chief of Defense Staff. So, and there was eyebrows raised, but not much of discussion. Like in Pakistan, it becomes, a matter of, I would say, huge discourse. Then we come to Russia's Army General Valery Gerasimov, who is the current Chief of General Staff, is equivalent to basically, you can say, the Chief of Defense Staff, because he has command over uh, all of the Russian military forces. He is there for last 12 years. And General Gerasimov is also liked by President Putin because he came out with the Gerasimov doctrine, and which basically combined military, technological, informational, diplomatic, economic, culture, the tactics for achieving the objectives. It means it's a totally new doctrine which came up. Now we look at the military side of it. We have discussed the political ramifications, advantages and disadvantages. But we look at within military, there are huge organizations, any military of, I think, even a middle level power. The services chief's tenure would allow them in a number of ways. Basically, it's a continuation of policies, adequate time for implementation of perceived vision, and then, of course, the stability within rank and file also. And definitely, when you come to CMR or civil military relations, or the government relations with the military, it also adds to stability. First is training and orientation. Like I remember when the war on terror started, Pakistan military was mainly, trained on conventional lines along the eastern border mainly. So it means conventional tactics, formations, and let's say strategy and tactics. But when the war on terror started affecting the western border, there was a need to shift. Actually, the policy focus was shifted, and then we came up with asymmetric warfare and fifth generation warfare or hybrid warfare, and then, of course, was fighting terrorism, which definitely required a totally different training regime. So it means that training orientation had to be shifted. Then comes the doctrinal development. The doctrine is one which glues the tactics, how a military would actually behave or operate on the battlefield. Of it's different than operation strategy or methodology, but it gives you, certain insight into how is the military oriented. And doctrine takes a lot of time to actually reshape. And it is now being felt after especially Russia-Ukraine war or Palestine-Israel war that conventional armies need to now change their doctrines. There are new players for instance, there are non-state actors which are now in the game. There are drones which have come up. And at times it is being felt that, missiles, guided weapon systems, drones, and remotely piloted vehicles become so dominant that now large ships and tanks have become, some people say, becoming redundant unless you have countermeasures. So it means that there is need for doctrinal development. In case you have a 5-year tenure with any of the chiefs, he can then focus on doing that. Then comes the military strategy itself, which is a continuous process, but definitely there is a quadrilateral review carried out. Most of the armies do it every 4 years, and they adjust, requirement. Then there is a biennial training cycle which is issued to the formations and units so that they can follow that part of military strategy. Induction of weapon systems, again, very important. For instance, we are inducting new tanks, new artillery guns, let's say new aircraft, small arms, or ships or submarines, or surveillance systems, or let's say command, control, intelligence, and surveillance systems. There is a need to have continuity. So I think all told, 5 years tenure is an ideal tenure that allows the service head to then follow his vision and then also to actually implement his vision. So in a nutshell, I would say that enhancement of a limit of services chief will further add to the professionalism of the armed forces, and also I think kind of make them immune from political parties, let's say, playing the card when there is appointment of let's say the chiefs, and also choose to be a kind of leverage to the next in line. So if you have 5 years tenure One, it will definitely de-link this and allow the services chiefs to not only have a stable civil military relation but also focus on all those 4 or 5 areas that I have mentioned. So all told, I think it's a good decision. And instead of politicizing it, we should look at the merits and discuss it professionally. Pakistan needs stability, whether it is economic, diplomatic, or even military field. Because with stability, I think Pakistan can move forward. So for the services and Pakistan, I think this is a good omen. Thank you very much.